Hello, everybody.
Hello, Lynn. Hi.
I'm Lynn Schweikert, and I am the president of the board of Nest. And I'm very excited to see you all. It's such a beautiful day where I am here in New Hampshire that I'm just thrilled that so many of you have given up being outside doing things on a beautiful day to be in with all of us, sharing some stories and getting updated as to where we are, what's happening with Nest. It's very exciting to see you all. I just want to see if we are getting more people coming in.
Chat. Okay.
We have a pretty busy day for everybody. Right now, we'll be having a brief board update where I'll introduce members of the board, and I will introduce Katie Knudsen, our new executive director, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on, and then we'll open the floor to questions that you might have. That should go until about 4:15, and then at 4:30, we will have the new member showcase, which should be very exciting. Mike Perry, Patricia Coffey, Katie Knudsen, Laura Sims, and Angela Lloyd will be sharing stories with us. Then we go away for a brief amount of time, come back at 6:30 for a happy hour with games. And if you have never attended one of Nest's happy hours, you don't know what you're missing. They're usually quite exciting and fun. Lots of laughs. And our hostess for the happy hour will be Lorna Bartlett. Then at 7:30, we have what we call the storyboard performance. And that is members of the board who rarely get to tell stories in formal Nest settings will all get to perform for you this evening. Then at 8:30, our wonderful Ralph Shadris will host the legendary story swap where all of you get to share stories as well. So it should be a very exciting event. And first, what I want to do is introduce members of the board, and then some of them will come and speak with you about what they're doing. Jim Brule, who is our board vice president, Barbara Alaprantis, who is our board secretary, Chris Riedel, who is our board's treasurer, Shoshana Simpson and Denise Page, who are directors at large. Denise just joined us, and Shoshana is one of our other new members. And then not present today, but although I am hoping that at least one of them might show up for later festivities, are Rona Leventhal, who is the co-chair of Sharing the Fire 2023, and Linda Schuyler Ford, who actually put this whole event together and then had to work today. So she is not getting to enjoy the fruits of all of her labors, but since we're recording this, she might get to sneak in and get to see what she missed. So without further ado, I want to ask Barbara Alaprantis and Shoshana Simpson to let you know about one of our exciting new programs, which is the mentorship program.
Yes, it is. Okay, I'll say that Shoshana and I sent emails out. We did not get a response that we were hoping for. In fact, how many, Shoshana, did we get? One?
We got one for a mentor.
Right. But we decided together, and I think, and we both agreed, the best way to promote it is by making a video, a short video, because I notice NSN does that. I mean, people, I think, have what they call fatigue with all of the email fatigue and all that. So I think if we make a very short, brief, welcome, volunteer to be a mentor. Do you want to be that? Explain what it is. But of course, the biggest push for it will be at Sharing the Fire. In my humble opinion, I've been to Sharing the Fire for years and years. We need a poster table with a poster and a sign-up sheet, and I'll be standing there and welcoming people, and then we'll talk about it, encourage people to sign up either to be a mentor or to become a mentor. So that's all about, I have to say. We're working on it. Isn't that right, Shoshana?
Yes, and for those who are jumping in and not sure what we're talking about, we are putting together a Nest mentorship program. So the whole goal of the mentorship program is to help build more community within the group and to help those who are just coming in to learn about Nest and also to feel more welcome to the story community. So you can be a story lover, story listener, storyteller. And the whole role of the mentor is just to help guide the new mentor member. It could be for seasoned members as well.
Right.
I don't want to say old because people might get offended. So seasoned members as well as new. And the whole goal is to really just build that community, build that affinity, and help each other grow in Nest and also to grow in our storytelling chops. We have put together a website. I'm gonna put in the chat the link so you guys can go check it out. We did receive one person who's willing to be a mentor, and we would love to be able to put together with a mentee. So if you're new into this community, you're watching this now, you're watching on the replay or whenever, and you want to be mentored or you want to be a mentor, we are building this program and we are really looking forward to working with you to help this be more fun for everyone involved. And that's all I have to say.
Oh, thank you, Shoshana. The whole thing comes down to that storytellers, you'll all agree, who are watching now, need collaborators. You need to have someone to share and swap and brainstorm ideas. And so this mentorship program is, we call it the Mentorship Initiative, which I kind of like. And so we hope that when it takes off, it'll really be something that we'll all be proud of. So. And I have to give a shout out to Shoshana, who was relentless in keeping after me because I kind of fell behind a little bit. But we're working on it. Any questions? Ask us. If you want to volunteer to be a mentor, we'll take it from there.
So if you want to drag them in?
No. This in sign language, those of the board knows I'm fluent in ASL, but the sign for volunteer is watch me. Who wants to volunteer? Okay, I love that. And I'm the client, I'm always volunteering. It's my nature, get involved. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you,
So
Barbara.
we have the
and
link in the
Shoshana.
chat and you guys can just fill it out. If you have any questions, you can always.
Yeah, I was just going to
reach out
say, if there are any questions, put up your little hand, and Shoshana and Barbara will be happy to answer them.
We have a question. Is it Nicolette?
So do you have like guidelines to being a mentor or a mentee? Is that the advantage of signing up?
Yes, we do have guidelines. We are asking that the person be.
No, I'm not. I know. I just clicked on the website. But once you have once you have that mentor-mentee relationship, do you have like a how to be a good mentee type of thing?
Yes,
How to be a good mentor.
We are working on some guidelines for that to help. We're trying not to like put you out there and be like, all right, your mentor, go for it.
Right, exactly. That was my question. Yeah.
Great question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, we do have a little bit of an outline, a guide that you can use or not use depending on the relationship between you and your mentor mentee.
Great.
So good.
So,
Thank you.
sure.
Any other
Anyone else?
questions? And if you have other questions, you can just put them in chat for Barbara and Shoshana, and they'll be happy to answer them either, in chat back or at some other point in the afternoon. Now I want to introduce Denise Page, and I am thrilled to welcome her as our newest board member. And I'm also really thrilled that she is going to be taking on our social justice initiative. So Denise, why don't you just give a little bit of an overview?
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity, one, to serve on the board, and two, to talk about the Social Justice Committee. The Social Justice Committee, as many of you may know, was formed at some point in 2020 out of the whole nation was responding to what was happening so viscerally in front of all of our eyes to the point where we couldn't ignore it. And many members of NEST felt compelled to really take an active stand and make a difference. And so the committee met, a word went out and people who were interested came together. We met as a large group initially. Deb Rowe was on staff at the time, and so she was managing to some degree as much as she could on the way out. The large committee then broke into, maybe we're now at 3 committees, I think, and we started working individually in our subcommittees. The committees, as I recall, are the training committee, the resource committee, and the performance committee. The resource committee, I'm fairly certain what they do, and their mission is to provide resources around issues of what I'll just call, for brevity, all of the isms, all of the things in the world of inequities and social injustice. And they will be working on that. The training committee, which I also sat on a little bit, the last that I was a part of it, we were kind of in flux as to what we were exactly going to do, but maybe someone here today can fill us all in on where that's going. And the performance committee, which is the other committee that I served on, was able to put together a performance called Hunger Comes Home for the Holidays last November. Maybe some of you caught it around Thanksgiving. We were playing on the theme of bounty. As everyone's celebrating harvest and bounty, there is food scarcity in this country, in the neighborhoods where we live. And we wanted to really keep that front and center as we celebrated, to also be mindful of the places where disparities still exist. And that performance was well attended. We were actually to raise funds that we donated to charity. So that's as much as I know about the work of the 3 committees past tense. What we're really focused on now is how we'll go forward and who's coming with us as we go forward. So as I mentioned, I know that there are members of the committee at large here with us today, and people on the subcommittees. And we are looking at, already had a conversation with Katie. We are going to put out a call to have a meeting and come together and see what ways we can support each other in moving our mission forward. We did get as far as creating a mission statement. And as someone who works with organizations, creating mission statements, I think they really deserve a pat on the back that this actually got accomplished. But the mission is to empower others to use storytelling to influence change around social inequities. So if that speaks to you, if you have a talent or a passion or a concern, then please join us. And I see I sound funky again, so I will end right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Yes, that was my message to you. Your sound has gotten
You have the
a little
best
funky.
sound effects, Denise. You have the best sound effects.
Exactly. Next, we're going to hear from Chris Riedel, who is going to tell us a little bit about the Worldwide Virtual Storytelling Guild. Chris, unmute yourself.
The fun thing about the Guild is that we are starting our 5th year. Hope Lewis and I started this in 2018 to provide a community for people to work on stories. So we meet 3 times a month, and we have a page on the NEST site. So if you go there, you can click on the Virtual Guild. There it is. First Thursday, second Saturday, third Sunday. Please come to listen, share feedback, get feedback on a story that you're working on. It doesn't need to be finished material. We all need someplace to work on stuff. If you would like to be included on our listserv, thank you very much, Joe Radner and American University, for that. My email is on that page. So you can write to me and ask to be included there. That's where I put out the calls for the next month's tellers. And I don't have a whole pile of people telling on the third Sunday in September, so feel free to write me. That's the Guild. We're still here.
Thank you, Chris. I think it's just so amazing, the forethought that Hope and Chris had so long before the pandemic, that they were already having a virtual story sharing opportunity. And then when the pandemic came, it just like, it just like flowed along like nothing had happened. And so I thank Chris so much for continuing to make that happen. I think that's one of our great offerings. And really it is a worldwide guild. There are people from all over the world, which is very exciting.
From the UK, from Germany, from India, from Singapore.
And that's part of the reason that you have the various starting times to, make so that our friend from Israel, who's always coming, isn't up at the middle of the night, So great. Thank you so much, Chris. And now I want to introduce our new executive director, Katie Knudsen, who comes to us from Minnesota, which is part of the Northeast. And we're very glad to have her. She her exploits today have only reinforced just how much we needed somebody like Katie. So Katie's going to talk a little bit about both our membership and Sharing the Fire.
Great. Thank you, Lynn. And it is a pleasure to be here in this brand new role. I'm still, getting my feet wet. So please reach out if I'm, forgetting to do something, let me know. If I'm not doing something the way that I should be doing it, let me know. If I'm doing something great, let me know that too. So I'm going to be talking about two different things. First of all, I'm going to be talking about membership. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but your Nest membership actually starts on September 1st and runs through August 31st, which means that unless you've gone in the last 10 days and renewed your membership or had it set to auto renew, you probably are not technically a member of Nest right now. So just make sure to go into the Nest website and renew your membership. It's a pretty easy thing to do. You want to sign in and then a lot of stuff just pops up for you. And there's the little button there that says that you can auto renew every year. That's a great way to not make me or somebody else harass you every year to say, hey, don't forget to up your membership. So please consider doing that. And if you like getting phone calls from us to say, hey, your membership expired, well, then I guess you can leave it unchecked. So the most exciting thing that I get to talk about is Sharing the Fire, which is coming up. We already have our keynote speaker set, which is Adam Booth. And then our featured performer is Charlotte Blake Alston. She'll be performing a solo concert on Sunday and also leading a workshop. And I believe Adam will also be leading a workshop. And these are two extraordinary storytellers. If you don't know them, you are in for a real treat. So Sharing the Fire is in person this year. It's at the Sheraton Portsmouth Harborside Hotel in New Hampshire, which is in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Write down these dates if you don't have them yet. It is Friday, March 24th to Sunday, March 26th. And our theme is Dare to Create, the audacious act of telling stories. The call for proposals is coming out soon. We have both a call for Olio stories and we have a call for workshops and intensives. So those will be coming out probably within the next week or so. Keep your eyes peeled and start thinking now about what kinds of stories, what kinds of workshops you could propose that are related to that theme. They don't have to be related to the theme, but it's great if they are. And like I said, we will be emailing you and plastering the Nest listserv and social media and all kinds of things once that call for proposals goes out. The other thing is, for those of you who don't know, Northlands, which is it's the Midwest version of Nest, is closing its doors. And so there may be a huge number of people who come from the Midwest over to Nest to be a part of a smaller conference that is storytelling themed. So please make sure that when that call does go out, we would love to have your help sharing and letting people know about it so that people who may not have a regional home can find one with Nest. And so again, we would love to see you in person in March in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And and we want you to know that our plan right now is to go forward in person and do what we need to do to make sure that everybody can be safe while there. So the board is consulting with several different medical professionals, and we are going to be crafting a COVID policy that we will not only create based on the most current recommendations, but then we'll also continue updating and talking to those medical experts to make sure that we can do everything that we can to let us gather in person safely. Now, if you are somebody who is thinking you might have an idea, but for some reason your proposals don't get selected, or you're not really sure how to word it, we're actually going to do something we haven't done before, which is to have a proposal writing workshop. This will be a free workshop available to you. The date is still being set with some of the planning team, but it will be mid to late September, so it's coming up pretty soon. We will let you know when that's happening, but basically we're going to go over some of the things that you can do as somebody writing a proposal to make sure that you're letting us know just how incredible your story or your workshop or your intensive would be. Because sometimes the most incredible workshops don't have great proposals that go with them. And we want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to be able to write a great proposal. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Jim and Lynn.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. And I think the board is very, very excited about the possibility of all of us getting together again, hugs and everything like that. And speaking of the board, Jim and I'm going to ask Jim to talk a little bit about our needs as far as board members and volunteers, because we really want to bring in as much of the community as we can into our activities. And we're looking for ways that we can involve you and that you can help us.
Thanks, Lynn. You know, it's really been an interesting experience because we've been able to not only sustain ourselves, but to grow as a board, although we are still quite small. And as the new members can attest, it's one of those boards that's a working board, but not an overworking board. So we ask people to come and contribute something that's really interesting to them and useful to the organization. At the same time, we're really mostly interested in your ideas and enthusiasm. So we have room for a couple more board members. One of the things we'd like to do is to start to branch out a little bit. You know, storytelling really has a lot of importance outside the world that we live in. If you happen to be listening to NPR today, you would have heard this discussion with a couple of the founders of the Moth, talking about how they're training people to use storytelling to get involved in social change and social justice, not just to win Moth awards. And it's really a very true thing that good storytelling is useful throughout the world. So if you know people who might be interested in storytelling, like people who know accounting or law or those sorts of things, we'd love to have them join us as well, because we need more than just storytellers on our board. So that's one thing that we can use. We also know that the minute somebody says, hey, come join the board, most people think, oh my gosh, that's the end of my life for the next 3 years. I'll be so busy, I won't have any time to do it. So we do have, as you've heard already, committees that you can participate in. Committees or even task forces or shorter term commitments, so that if there's a particular project that either intrigues you or you think would intrigue us, please be in touch, whether it's the mentoring, whether it's a social action, all sorts of opportunities abound for you to get involved with the storytelling community and to use storytelling for all those things that go way beyond just a performance opportunity. So think about stories, think about us. You know, except for me, we're all easy to get along with. And it'd be great to have you join us and become
Now.
involved. Become involved either as a board member, a committee member, or just lay your hands on a task that needs doing. So that's my pitch.
Thank you, Jim. And I think it's true. I think that, you know, it's not just committees, but it's almost affinity, you know, like an affinity member. What would your affinity be in storytelling? One aspect that we haven't talked about today is our youth storytelling program that Nicolette and Paula Weiss and Andrea Lovett helped work on. And we're hoping to reinvigorate that in a couple of ways, perhaps with its own guild, also reaching out to other students in other venues in other areas. So there are lots of ways that you can help. If you're in the New Hampshire or Southern Maine area, you might want to help us with sharing the fire or give us some suggestions of people that ways we can reach out to the community here to strengthen sharing the fire and make it, you know, not just a storytelling event, but a community event. And I think that's basically our presentation. I don't know whether anybody else, board members, have anything that they want to say. If not, we have about 15 minutes and we'd love to answer any questions that you might have about the board or about sharing the fire. And I guess you could just put them, you could raise your hand and we would try to spotlight you, or you can put them in the chat.
Got 19 participants. Okay.
You could also
Now, don't be
just tell us
shy.
how
And some of the
wonderful
things
we
that we're
are.
interested in learning about your perspectives on sharing the fire are, you know, what are you most looking forward to? What do you like, not almost can't wait for sharing the fire to be able to do? Or do you have any questions about Portsmouth, New Hampshire? I happen to live here, so any questions I might be able to answer, or anything else, you know, if you just want to talk about what sharing the fire means to you, or have questions about the board, would love to hear them.
Go ahead, Oni.
Hi, everyone. I'm a new member, and so I'm not even sure what sharing the fire is. Is it a show? Yeah.
That's a good
I'm
question.
fairly new. I joined Nest when COVID came, and I joined up, but I'm not sure. Is it a program?
No. Can I tell you?
Barbara?
Absolutely.
Sharing the Fire is an annual conference, and it is, I've been to many, but nothing like Sharing the Fire. Sharing me the fire in the belly, telling stories, and it started, and I've been to almost everyone when we're at Simmons College, MIT, and it's just a chance to hang out with your friends, attend wonderful workshops. We have keynotes, oleos, swaps, and it's just a wonderful festival. Oh, a chance to meet and greet and be together. And it's so sad that we weren't able to do it live, but this year we're doing it live. And it's going to be great. And everybody's so helpful and welcoming.
So
it's going on.
What's the nearest airport? What's the nearest airport?
No, I answered that because friends of mine from New York for the African Folk Heritage Circle were going to come the last time before it was canceled. They come into Boston on Amtrak, and there are buses. You can get a bus from Boston to the site.
Oh, okay.
It's like an hour and a half bus ride, I think, or set up carpools. Maybe people can meet them. So, you know, everybody works together. You send an email, how are you getting there? And people network and work together. So
it's also not very far from the Manchester, New Hampshire airport or the Portland, Maine airport. So it gives you lots of alternatives depending on where you're coming from, and lots of ways to kind of check different airlines and prices and everything like that.
How many days is it?
It begins on Friday around 1 o'clock with some intensive workshops, and intensive workshops are typically 3 to 4 hours where you're really focused on a topic or on coaching or something like that. And I can't tell you what this year's will be, but that's what it's been in the past. And then usually begins with like a cocktail reception around 6. And then the first night there is a story performance that is done by the keynote performer.
So
And,
is that where Charlotte's going to be?
no, Charlotte will be on Sunday.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe she'll put me in her suitcase.
maybe.
I'll ask.
that sounds good. Yeah, and so and then there are swaps in the evening that usually go till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, maybe later if you happen to be stuck in Tony Toledo's room.
Where he gets his annual haircut.
I'm sure.
That's right. And then there's Tony's annual haircut.
Or you can have pie.
Okay.
And then Saturday, there is the keynote that is usually on the theme, based on the theme of the conference. And then we break into groups. There are usually maybe three workshops on Saturday. And they're workshops that help people polish various kinds of skills, be it performance skills or content narrative skills. And then there's usually a fringe track as well, if what you want to do is come and listen to stories. And then Saturday night is an olio, and there are usually 6 or 7 stories told there. And then after the olio, there's another swap. And then Sunday morning is usually the Nest annual meeting. And then Charlotte would give, I think Charlotte, and then there's another round of workshops, one of which Charlotte would be doing. And then there's Charlotte's performance. And so it usually ends around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes there's another event after. We're not sure what we're doing quite yet there, but, and meals, breakfasts are included, a lunch I think is included, dinners are kind of on your own, so.
Sounds like fun. Is there a host hotel?
Ralph's
Yes,
trying to
it's
say
the
something.
Sheraton Harborside in Portsmouth.
Okay,
is it-
thank you.
We can put that in the chat too.
Can
And I
you-
hear
can you
Ralph
stop-
Ralph
can you
looks
stop
like he
making-
has,
When she said there's 3 workshops, it's a grid. So there are 3 time periods where there are workshops. And during that period, there's several. Usually there's one for a beginner storyteller. There's one for, there's always one for, so you want to be a storyteller, huh? And then there are some special. There's usually a workshop for someone who's a teacher or someone who's doing social justice or something like that, or honing a particular skill that you want. And plus it's a great place to meet other tellers and share and form contacts and feel welcomed. The first time I went was in 1986 or something like that. It was in Cambridge, and I went there and said, "Who am I to go there?" and I walked in, and Robert Smith was there, and he goes, "Ralph, I'm so glad you're here." So it's just a wonderful place to make the contacts. And plus there's also, are we going to have a hawker's room for people to hawk their wares or something? And then
Oh, yeah.
so it's a wonderful time. And yeah, I'm going to take the bus up from Boston. I'm tired of driving there.
And this is not a new event. I mean, we're going on 30 years.
Oh yeah, more than that. Before Northeast Storytelling existed, before it was Lanes, I don't even. I think it was originally just Share the Fire was the organization, and
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to come when it was called Lanes, the League for the Advancement of New England Storytelling.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, we changed it to Northeast Storytelling Nest.
About 5 years ago.
Yep, that
And,
was it. When I moved to when I moved from New York to Natick. So, yep. But even from New York, I'd go trudging up. I didn't miss a Sharing the Fire. Every year I was there.
Oni, where do you live?
Where do I live? I live in
No, Oni.
Oh, Oni. Where is Oni living?
I live between Philadelphia and Lancaster,
Oh, okay, that's not gonna be,
Pennsylvania.
that's not gonna be a bus trip, no.
And I just want to give a shout out to Cindy Rivka, because every year we would meet and we'd greet each other and say, ah, and we'd greet each other once a year. But now she doesn't live far from me. Anyway.
Oni, I put a link to last year's Sharing the Fire into the chat. So you can see what the schedule was like last year. This year's isn't done yet, but it'll give you a sense of all of the various things that happened. It's still up on the website.
So exciting.
Thank you.
Okay.
And last year, the plan was to have it in person at this same hotel. And then at the last minute, it got changed to virtual because of COVID. So you'll
Yeah.
see some hangovers from what would have been in person and some things that maybe got switched because of being online.
We did have the virtual STF last year. And I think quite a number of, I think all of the presenters or all of the tellers told. And I think that a lot of the workshops were held, but it was not, there were no hugs. It was, so we're hoping to remedy that this year.
Can you put the name of the hotel in the chat too?
Let me just a second go find their website and I can
Yeah.
And as she's getting that, just know that we also have a discount on rooms that you can get by booking with us. So if you look at the regular room rates, don't freak out. It's cheaper for us.
Yeah, we get special rates.
Yes.
And people are always sending emails looking for roommates if you don't have anybody that you know that you could go. So it'll work. It works out.
And there's also a Facebook page, and there's the Nest listserv as well. So if you are not on any of those, just send me an email to nestorytelling@gmail.com, and I can get you hooked up with anything. And I'll put my email in the chat.
I'm back. Just a second.
Where are we?
Does anybody else have any other questions?
And yes, Cindy, we are so sad to see that combination. Unfortunately, we've known the dates for, I guess, over a year, but they just weren't on the website. And we know that will not happen again next year. We've already been in communication with Jessica. So it's this 1 year. And we hope that there are enough people who love storytelling and want to be in person with each other that we will still both have good crowds. But yes, it is unfortunate.
Say a quick hello. Hi, Laura.
I have another question.
Can I just ask what's unfortunate? I missed that.
Oh, that Sharing the Fire and the Women's Storytelling Festival are happening on the same weekend.
Oh, mhm.
Yeah.
I have a question about membership.
Go ahead.
Is there a membership? Is Nest looking for new members, or what is the future of Nest?
Well, I guess the question is, yes.
Well,
we're
I
always
guess there are
looking-
going to be new people with all the initiatives we have going with Denise's thing and the Worldwide Guild and everything. But I'm just wondering, what do you see the future for Nest? Because right now we're small but mighty. Because I know some of the really wonderful people who are storytellers that are here. But I'm just wondering, how do you see Ness, is there any recruitment for membership, or how's that working out? Or is it just all in-house?
Well, I think that, I mean, it's a very interesting question. I think that we have a very strong future because we are, because there are a lot of people here who are very committed to the organization and to sharing information and to, supporting a community. I mean, a challenge, of course, is always finding people to serve on the board, but I think that the community, the greater community itself, is very strong. We don't really do a lot of outreach for membership, which we probably should fix, but we're always we're a very open, welcoming group, and we're always looking for new members.
And I would add to that, before BCE, before the COVID era, we were already reaching out with programs like the Worldwide Virtual Storytelling Guild, like some of the training we were doing in how to do teaching online. We did that long before COVID ever came. So I think we've had a view of being able to expand our membership without having to really do a huge recruiting, but just saying, hey, these are all the things we're doing. If you're interested, please come and join us. So the membership has been fairly strong. And I would say we see ourselves as being doing some things that are kind of unique in the storytelling world, and see that continuing.
And also, I think to Jim's point earlier, we're also looking to go beyond just performing storytellers and to help people understand the importance of storytelling, really no matter what they do. I mean, I myself am not a performing storyteller. I was a marketing communications person, but I use storytelling in my business, and I understood the importance of being able to tell stories, being able to elicit stories that you can find out about people. I mean, I think storytelling has a real life that isn't just that is on the stage, certainly, but that is beyond it. And that's one of the areas in which I can see us growing.
Thank you for everyone's answer. Thank you.
I think we have a couple of minutes. I think we're scheduled to end at 4:15. So if anybody else has questions or something they'd like to say, please feel free. And I see, oh, Barbara. You're muted, Barbara.
Just because I always have something to say, I'm thinking of one of the first Stirring the Fire ones I went to, where Michael Parent started off his keynote address by singing and we all sang, and I use it all the time, side by side. Oh, we ain't, and I teach it in sign language. So anytime you want to be lifted up, Barbara's going to sing you and sign you a song. So that's all.
And I see that Lona Bartlett is here, and I just want to remind you that Lona will be doing our next event. Our next event is storytelling, which will be very exciting. And then Lona later will be doing the happy hour. So it's 4:14. We're scheduled to stop at 4:15. So maybe we'll just end a minute early.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming, and we really appreciate. It was just good to see all your faces, and look forward to seeing you again in a few minutes. Bye-bye.